National Battery Research Institute to present our Millennial Talks for 2 days. And then we are very proud with this young, brilliant scientists, and they will share with us. So why and what is NBRI? I would like to introduce you now. Okay, so the National Battery Research Institute, we have the, the name of, in Indonesia, the Center of Excellent Innovation in Battery and Renewable Energy. So we have currently accepted there for the by law. So today we would like to present the NBRI Millennial Talks. Yes, what next after lithium? This is quite interesting. Yes, I believe all of you want to know, would like to know what is going on, what we can replace, not the lithium, but actually a part of component in the lithium ion battery. Yes, this is the, so as you have seen before in previous video, the idea of the Battery Research Institute is a platform of the battery research that nowadays it's very, very important. Yes, you cannot say the electric vehicle or all the electricity, energy storage, all your mobile phone, application in drone, etc., are using the lithium ion battery. So this research, this topic is very important. Yeah, not only in Indonesia, but also all over the world. Yes. Therefore, I do really concern that it's not easy for Indonesia to find who has done the battery activity, in which institute, and how we can find the scientists working on this, and where is the facility, etc. Yeah, so this is we should make a platform. Yeah, so this is the idea is the Battery Research Institute. Yes, the platform for lithium battery and renewable energy. But of course, for this, we need also the support from the academic research institute. So they give the science facility. Yeah, we're working together. And of course, we need also a support from the government. Yeah, so NBRI have been really approved and accepted and supported by the Ministry of Research and Technology. So our launch last September was held by the Minister of Research and Technology. So it means that the government support our idea to have a National Battery Research Institute, and also we need an investor. Yes, to raise the young, brilliant Indonesia, we need also an investor, and then we receive the grant also from UK. Yeah, but of course the idea is not only bridging, but we want to go for the enterprise that Indonesia have to have the independent in energy, especially in manufacturing the battery. So this is our main goal. Yes, we have to encourage. Yes, we have with our capability, with our capacity, with all the resources. Yeah, but of course there is the societal impact, the intellectual property, industrial association, standardization. Yeah. So this is our roadmap of the NBRI. So NBRI actually the spin-off the Material Research Society Indonesia. That before we wish that Material Society has become the international organization, part of the International Union of Material Research Society. So at first we wish to build the Material Research Institute, but it's too broad. So this time we focus on the Battery Research Institute. So then it happened, yeah. So after we launched, yes, in our conference, annual conference in Bogor in 2019 in Sentul, that you have seen that video, the launching of a National Battery Research Institute. So afterward, we have some MOU, with some institution, university, with industry. But one of them is the MOU with the Queen Mary University. From there, we apply with Professor Alan Drew. So our co-founder of the NBRI. So we apply for DCRF and we have approval for establishing this NBRI. So NBRI is established this year, and in 2020 by law, and then by support from DCRF from UK. So we expect that we not only as a platform, but we can give some information, knowledge, and we can gather young scientists to be here, to work together, to innovate, to do international excellent research. So we hope that NBRI become a center of excellence of national battery research and also the renewable energy. So this is the one of the history. This is our consortium. Previously from the consortium battery, and then we met also the Minister of the Maritime and Investigation, and we meet also the Presidential Advisory Board, Mrs. Adiningsi. This is one of the activity. And then last year in 2019, so during our conference, International Conference on Advanced Material Technology and Multidisciplinary Research, we launched the National Battery Research Institute. So this is in one of the news. This is with Professor Anhar as the chairman of National Nuclear Energy Agency, and Professor Rudi Haryanto as the rector of the Mustopo. So this is our activity of the MRSINA, the conference, and we do some. This is more than 15 countries attended the conference, and then with also attended by the president of IUMRS. Then we have the MOU. So this is actually the seeding also of the National Battery Institute. So we hold the international workshop on lithium-ion battery technology. With wait and see, we will organize the second one, soon. So it is very important for us, for NBRI, for the society to introduce to the public, not only the public, actually some the 50% of industry, they want to know also what is the battery, the lithium battery, all the this review. And we invited international speakers like Professor Alan, Professor Alexi from Australia, from others, and we have also Professor Agus, the best one of researcher, that's from UNS, and some other from industry. So this is what we're trying to give for the society. So our vision is to gather all Indonesian stakeholders in battery research and production to help strong national battery research and increase the visibility of battery research at government level. But in the long term, to help develop the battery manufacture industry using locally resources. So this is very important. Because we know Indonesia has vast renewable which require grid storage, isolated community. So for this, we need this knowledge. Okay, so during that time, last year, we have the MOU, between the INALUM and then also some university from Thailand, from Korea, from Australia, from Japan, from Indonesia too, and then from UK. So we have some memorandum of understanding. Even we have also the MOU with this is the student union, from ITB. So this is a seat of the NBRI. So from that, Professor Alan and me came again in November. We make a proposal to DCRF Global Challenge Research Fund, and fortunately, thank that in January 2020, this proposal was approved. So we received a grant to establish the National Battery Research Institute. So Prof. Alan asked me what is look like the NBRI. So I asked whether in UK they have similar. So in UK there is a Faraday institution. So so the FI become our benchmark for the National Battery Research Institute. So we believe the UK already developed country, so we have to follow the one that as our leader. Yeah. So that is the history. And then in February, our team. So I would like to introduce our team who in this NBRI. This is Firmansyah, Muhammad Firmansyah, as the project leader. Yeah, he developed this all the website, all the idea, and then how the long program, short program, and then Sinta is as the international relation and our secretary. Yes, this is yeah, she graduated from the international public relations, so it's very very good, yeah, very appropriate for us. And then we need also the finance director, manager. This is Adit Tribogono. So with this our team member, we developed the National Battery Research Institute. So, but of course, our previous team from the researcher, all our member of the National Battery Research Institute. Yes, so there's an audience to the minister. Yes, we discussed, and then the minister really appreciated with us, and then even the minister asked to be NBRI to be part of the national research priority and to all the research activity in Indonesia. Yeah. So we want to have also to make a validation of the data, information of the data. This is very important. Yeah. So there are so many information, but well, we don't know which one is the real or what hoax or etc. But if we want to publish the information, it should be validated. So that is also our job. And then, of course, in the future, there Indonesia or the other country, the storage. So with this, we need many what is the engineer or people or the technician that were able who understand about the battery, so they can do in Indonesia, not only in Jakarta. Yeah, electric vehicles should be all over Indonesia. So we will do the certification. Yes, we will have the education training. Yeah, education training and give the skill. Yeah, this is one of example education. Of course, the others, we will have the collaboration with some industry related to the renewable energy from abroad, from Indonesia national, and then we collect that's all the members that who also interesting, have the skill maybe to find. Okay, so this is also we want to have. Yeah, and the others next, Mr. Freeman will explain you about the one NBRI map. This is one of the concern also. It's not easy to find where is the industry do the other research, where is the facility, who are you, where are you. Yeah, so all are spread, not in one platform. So so for this we want to make this one NBRI one map. Yes, that later on we'll explain. Yeah. Okay, so we did also the focus group discussion, the first one, toward the National Battery Research Institute. It was held in Bandung in B40, yes, that's the Ministry of Industry. Yeah, so the more than 20 research institution, they come yeah, together and to discuss, and all they approve, they agree that it is important to have this NBRI. Yeah, and then yes, we tried the electric vehicle. They have also the solar panel, and then we are active also support all this current issue on the battery, or either battery swap with the or standardization, or even the nickel, and also this we have also last time launching the website and then the NBRI. Officially by the Minister Research and Technology. So, so this is a part of the our activity. Yeah. So I would like to introduce also, beside the the team, that staff team that I have already previously introduced. Now we have very proud to present a young member of NBRI. We have Cipta, we have Andika, yeah, we have Rizka, we have Gede. Then we're waiting for all young member to become part of us. Yes. So one thing that if you want to become the member, of course, well, English is part of, because this is NBRI, it is international, yes, organization. But the second, but you are able to learn, to want to know, you have to be creative, productive, innovative. Yes, is this competitive? Of course, yes, because if you want to become an excellent result, we have to be competitive, yeah. And then beside the Millennial Talks, then we will also have the NBRI lecture. We will invite lecturer from all over the world. Yes, we're talking about the battery, what is going on there, what is even from Indonesia. We do the focus discussion, training, and then maybe soon we will also end of this year or early next year, we will have the international conference on battery and renewable energy. Yes, and then we are very proud today for our Millennial Talks attended by 10 countries. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, from Australia, Canada, UK, Tunisia, Nigeria, Pakistan, India, Philippines, Bangladesh, Iraq, and Indonesia. Yeah, Indonesia is not here. It should be here, yes, because some participants. So it's the 11 countries. Yeah, I'm sure more than that 10. And then that mostly they're coming from as a student. So I'm glad, yes, because the student, this is the proposing for the student, and then the researcher, lecturer, general, and young researcher. Yes, then also mostly from the university and the government institution, private and general. So this is the what is the analysis of the participant today. We are glad to inform you that in Indonesian, in the legal form, we will assume that this, so NBRI is become a foundation. Yes, this is a foundation to bring Indonesia to be independent in the energy. And then we expect that, I hope with this foundation can bring up Indonesia and all over the world, not only Indonesia, international young will be gathered, not only from Indonesia, from all over the world. We discuss what the need from the world. Yes, so this is what the last, and welcome to be the member. Yes, now if you are a member, you will have the membership card. And later on, you have some privilege, and you can promote yourself. We will have the meeting. You can also make presentation for you. Once again, thank you for time, and thank you again. And my appreciation to my co-founder, Professor Alan Drew, who really understand about Indonesia. And then the NBRI was there, but it not become the. It will not be realized without your support. Yes, I would like to thank with the team from KIMO and GCRF for the funding, and from Indonesia Energy Agency from all. Thank you again, once again, and once maybe I should thank to the PT Infinity Energy who really helped for making this also happen. Thank you, and time is yours.
Thank you so much, Professor Avi, for such an amazing introduction. So now we're moving to the next material, which is a website presentation from Mr. Firmansyah. Before that, I would like to introduce you first, who is Mr. Firmansyah. So Mr. Firmansyah is the project leader of National Battery Research Institute. He is also President Director of PT Infinity Energy Indonesia, Commissioner of CB3 Daya Cavalry, and graduate from Pajajaran University, Bandung. For Mr. Firmansyah, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Sinta. Good day, ladies and gentlemen, the honorable speaker, the honorable panelists, and all the participants Zoom meeting or conference of YouTube streaming. My name is Muhammad Firmansyah, and I'm the project manager for the NBRI. First, I would like to say thank you for all the time that has given to present about the NBRI website. This website is deliver our vision to have a broad picture on the battery industry ecosystem in Indonesia, ranging from resource, user, manufacturer, and also the research facility. First, this is our homepage. Below you will see the information about NBRI, about us. You can click. When you click the team member, you can see the brief information about the CV, all of the founder and also the co-founder of NBRI. Okay, next. We'll go back to the homepage. The homepage. Okay, we have the latest article on event of any information that will be uploaded with our team. This is our latest information, the data showing about many countries and all the participants of the publish of project and also of our expertise. Next, our special feature, which NBRI One Map. Okay, One Map. Okay, and one research panel. We will go to the research. Wait. On research panel. Okay, in research panel, there are several main topics related to lithium-ion battery, such as lithium ion, beyond lithium, industry concern, battery characterization, Indonesia research community, Indonesia research highlights, and also Indonesia national research priority. All these topics related to the novelty research project and also recent issue that being concerned in Indonesia related to the battery. Okay, next, one publication panel. Okay, publication will republish research that already published on proceeding international journal. Next, open the opportunities. The opportunity we will showing opportunity that will be given such as vocational high school internship, undergraduate internship, job opportunities, and the industry fellowship. Next, for the education and skill, we also have education and skill where we will provide information more about the education and training for the student and undergraduate PhD and research also. Event will provide about activity we have done and the last for the NBR One Map, we are having a special tools which called NBR One Map, where you can find about the resource and user of the battery manufacturer and research facility. You can just one click away to find all the information about the battery. First, for the resource map, collect data about the company that produce the raw material for the battery. And for the end user map is a map that shows the user of the battery. Battery manufacturer is map show about the manufacturer to produce battery. And the last one, facility, for the map facility for collecting data about the facility related to the battery research in Indonesia. Okay, if you want to become our member, register on our website. You can choose the member as an individual, institution, or corporate member. By then, you can always have an update from us related to the next event. That's all that I can share about this website. For further information, can contact through email or Sinta. All the information is in the website. Thank you so much for this opportunity that you've given to me. Okay, we'll back to Sinta. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Firmansyah, for the introduction. So now we are moving into the next speaker. It will be Professor Alan J. Drew. So let me show you about him. So Professor Alan J. Drew is the Professor of Experimental Physics, Queen Mary University of London. He is Distinguished International Professor from Sichuan University of China, Reader in Physics, Queen Mary University of London, Senior Lecturer in Physics, Queen Mary University of London, Lecturer in Physics, Queen Mary University of London, Leverhulme Fellow, Queen Mary University of London, Ober Assistant, University of Fribourg, Switzerland, 1851 Research Fellow, University of St. Andrews, PhD Physics, University of St. Andrews, and Field Material Engineer from University of Birmingham, and BSc Hons Physics, University of Birmingham. From Professor Alan, the time is yours.
I'll just share my screen if you don't mind.
Sure, please.
Hopefully this works. Can you see the presentation?
Not yet, but you can see our screen.
Okay, it should come any second now, I hope.
Oh yes, now we see it.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so I was asked today to give a talk about Queen Mary and the funding opportunities available for PhD students and early career researchers for Indonesian. So I thought I'd first, as always, start with these sorts of talks, show you a few pictures of me in Indonesia. So this is my first experience of Indonesia. Some of you who I've worked with in the last couple of years have seen this before. Not everybody will have who's in the audience. This is a picture of me sitting on Bali Beach, actually, writing a research grant on battery materials to the European Union. And it was my first experience of Indonesia, and a very pleasurable one at that. Okay, I must say this was a great conference where we had several hours a day without any talks at the conference, which means that I could go to the beach, enjoy a cocktail, and write my research grant. And these are the sorts of things that we got up to. This is my second experience of Indonesia, where we ran a workshop in Surabaya, where we had some amazing fish, some amazing views of mountains, and some more amazing views of mountains, and me in the conference area here wearing shorts and illegal shorts and illegal sandals. I don't know, this is probably my sixth, experience of Indonesia, where Professor Evi and myself decided were given permission to take an electric car for a drive, which is what we did. And this is with the B4T team here. And here we have the NBRI team. Okay. Here are some pictures of us with the Minister for Higher Education and Research, where we discussed the formation of NBRI. And here is a workshop where we all sat down and discussed. In fact, this is myself, this is Professor Evi at the front. And I forget when this was actually, to be honest, because I've been to Indonesia so many times. This is my last experience of Indonesia, which wasn't such a good one, as you can probably imagine. I ended up catching a really nasty virus whilst in Indonesia, which triggered a blood condition that put me in hospital for nearly 2 months. In fact, this was me on a medical evacuation aeroplane, where they flew me from Jakarta to Bangkok because it was not possible to treat me in Jakarta because they didn't have the correct treatment facilities. And this is me in intensive care. So it wasn't the most pleasurable of experience in Indonesia the last time. And I'm still recovering, but I'm back. So I thought I'd now show you a little bit of information about Queen Mary University of London. This information is about a year old, so but I think it's still relevant. So as usual with senior people, they give me slides to talk about Queen Mary, where we talk about university rankings. Well, we were 130th in the world, 119th in the world on the QS rankings. I think they're very proud of that. We're not in the top 100, but being in the top 150, I think is quite a good achievement because we're quite a small university. We are in the top 25 for the World for International Outlook. I'm not quite sure how that's measured, but nonetheless, you can probably see a makeup of our students, and this probably represents it. We have 25,000 students from 162 nationalities, which I believe is just about every country in the world. Just under 10% of our students are from the European Union, and 35% of the rest are from other countries outside of the European Union. So that would be 44% of our students are from overseas in total. Okay. We currently have 4,000 students in China participating in a program. We have 18% of our research grants are from overseas or the European Union. We have 150 partnerships with international partnerships with higher education, government and industry overseas. That includes the NBRI and the MRSA in Indonesia. And we're topped 4th in the world for the most highly cited medical research. In total, we've had £18 million in GCRF, that's Global Challenges and Research Fund funding. And this includes the NBRI, where we funded the initial activities of the NBRI through a GCRF grant. In terms of our staff, about 2/5 of our staff are from overseas or the European Union, and about 3/5 are from the UK. Okay, we've got campuses in China, Malta, which is in Europe, and France, which is also in Europe. Okay. And we're having an increasing number of teaching staff in campuses overseas. I think these 3 Chinese programs here have got, I don't know, 200 staff living overseas or something. It's crazy. So Queen Mary University of London is in London. It's quite central. You can see here that central London is here. That's the central bit. So we're just off to the east of the centre. We're halfway between the big financial district, which is just here, and the law district, which is just here. So we're sort of halfway between the two. Okay. So I'm the director of the Materials and Research Institute in Queen Mary University of London, where I'm responsible for 65 faculties, so that's professors and lecturers through to professors. Each have got in excess of 200 staff. Okay, it involves 5 schools, which is physics, chemistry, materials, dentistry, and electronic engineering in 2 faculties, because dentistry is medicine. Okay. We work on energy, lightweighting of materials or functional materials, sensors, optoelectronics, and healthcare. We work in areas such as materials chemistry, materials processing, materials characterization, which is my main area of research, and materials modeling. Okay. So I was asked now to discuss PhD opportunities in the UK. Now, this is quite a complex area because there are 140 universities in the UK. And so it's quite, every university has different policies, every university has different projects. it's quite a complex system. So I thought I'd give you some general advice on choosing a PhD. I think the first thing is go where the funding is, because there are many, many PhD projects with a very diverse funding regime. And so not all projects in Indonesian people will be eligible to receive funding for. Okay. So the first thing is go where the funding is, because PIs, so professors, lecturers, readers, we put a lot of effort into gaining research funding so that we can employ staff. Now, that research funding has got different criteria as to what we can and what we can't spend it on, and what nationalities we can spend it on. So I think the first piece of advice is, if there is funding for a PhD which you are eligible for, I would seriously consider that opportunity, because even if it may not be your most ideal subject, funding is quite rare for international students in the UK. So that's the first piece of advice. The second piece of advice, in order to find a PhD position, whether it's funded or not, actually it's a good idea to use contacts in Indonesia. So there are many Indonesian colleagues that have got friends and collaborators in the UK, where personal recommendations can do a lot. So I have a PhD student, Ava, and she's working with me because she worked for Professor Evie. And I contacted Professor Evie and I told her that I had an international scholarship for any PhD that I wanted, and I wanted to do it on batteries. And I contacted Professor Evie, and she recommended me 2 people to interview. And Eva, who we'll talk later today, was the person that got the position. Okay, so wherever possible, my advice is to find an interesting and relevant project. Okay, so relevant to what you want to do in your future career, and perhaps if you have a job at the moment and you want to go back to that job, then you might want to get something relevant for your employer. Okay, but it's also important that you find something that's interesting to you and that you want to do. Okay, so those positions might be advertised. Okay, there are a number of different places that you can look, and I've got the list at the bottom. Okay, they may be available just by discussion with a supervisor, and this is how Ava came to work with me. I discussed with Professor Evie a project, and then she was recommended. So it was through discussion. I also advertised because I wanted to create a wide as net as possible. Okay, but discussion with a potential supervisor. So I get many emails, I would say 2 or 3 per week, from prospective PhD students overseas, quite often from developing nations. Okay, so the ones that I get most from are India, Pakistan, and some Asian countries, although the Asian countries are in the minority. And I quite often get a generic email. So it will be an email containing the CV of the candidate. But what's written in the email is obviously generic. It's obviously something they've written, and they send out dozens and dozens and dozens of times to lots and lots of different people. And it quite often contains topics that I have absolutely no interest in or no track record in. And so I just ignore them. And so does everybody else. Everybody gets these emails. Everyone gets dozens of emails. Okay. It doesn't work if it's generic. It doesn't work if you send me, you come and want to work on Indian tin oxide. Well, I've never worked on Indian tin oxide. I never want to work on Indian tin oxide. Okay. Zinc oxide is another one from India in particular. There's a lot of people working on zinc oxide. I'm just not interested in zinc oxide. I have no track record. And so I just ignore them. I just delete them because I'm way too busy to respond to the emails that I get. I get so many. If you want to get through the barrier of people getting too many emails, you actually have to tailor it for the project, the university, and the supervisor. You need to make it short, not a very long essay, but 2 paragraphs, 5 sentences, 6 sentences. And you need to tailor it. You need to look at the track record of the supervisor and the university And then you need to identify areas that they might be interested in working, that you are interested in working in, based on their publishing track record and their website. And then you spend time writing an email where you say you're interested in the areas in which the PI is interested in, and you want to research in this area, and you give some examples that are relevant. And then those emails I actually reply to, and I either send them lists of opportunities that I've got, or I forward their email on to colleagues who might be interested in supervising them, or I reply saying, I'm really sorry, I don't have anything at the moment, but I'll bear you in mind in the future if I get anything. And I forward your email on to colleagues who might have more opportunities. It actually gets through my firewall if you tailor the project to me. It tells me that you're genuinely interested in working in this area and that you genuinely are motivated. And then I'm happy to do something. Okay. My other advice is to choose a good university. And what I mean by good university is that actually there are more than 100 universities in the UK. And quite frankly, some have got better reputations than others. Okay, so you need to choose. I would recommend that you choose a good university. And you've got a huge number to choose from. Some examples are the Russell Group, for which Queen Mary is a member of. That's a good place to start. There's 24 universities in the UK, which are the most research active universities in the UK. There are other good universities that aren't in the Russell Group, and that's, for example, St Andrews, which is where I did my PhD. That's in the top of the universities in the UK. It's probably third behind Oxford and Cambridge. Okay, so it's right at the top. And they have decided that they don't want to be in any Russell Group. They don't want to be in this grouping, that actually they are good enough to be independent of it. Okay, so there are some exceptions, but that's a good place to start, Russell Group. And actually projects are generally advertised in jobs.ac.uk. Okay, that's the place where most people advertise, or on the university web pages. People also put adverts in Your Access and Find a PhD. And these two tend to be for funded projects. Okay. So what is unfortunate about Indonesia is I'm not aware of any Indonesian government funded scheme. So in China, there's hundreds of PhD student scholarships available for overseas PhD students. So the Chinese students apply to the Chinese Ministry of Education, who then award a scholarship, and then they come to the UK based on a government scholarship. I'm not aware of an Indonesian scheme, so it makes it a bit more complicated. So in terms of what you need, so as I've said, funding is challenging for Indonesian students. You're reliant on research grants and on supervisors having the independent money. Okay. One thing you need to know is that all universities charge fees in the UK. So in the UK, for UK or EU, European Union nationals, it's about £4,000 a year, which is 75 million IDR. Okay, most other nationalities are in the region of 15 to 20,000 pounds a year, which is somewhere around 300 to 400 million IDR. And these fees are dependent on the university itself. Cambridge is at £20,000 per year. Queen Mary is close to £15,000 per year. In order to get a visa to study in the UK, you need to have a formally accepted offer from a university, okay, and demonstrate that you can afford it, which means you need to be able to demonstrate that you have £1,000 or 19 million IDR per month in living costs, plus the fees, okay? Some universities offer fee waivers, some universities don't. You have to negotiate that on a case-by-case basis. However, my experience is that £1,000, or 19 million ADR, is just not enough in London and other large cities, okay, and expensive areas. That we pay most students across the UK about 50% more. Okay, so that's 28,000 IDR instead of 19,000 IDR per month. Okay, and that I would recommend that if you try and get a university scholarship in Indonesia or elsewhere, you make sure there's enough to live on. That's the minimum. This is what I recommend. So £1,700 per year. So different scholarships are internal university money. This is what AVA is employed by. And this is rare, but comes with international fees. plus 28,000 IDR per month for stipend, for salary. That's what stipend means. This is salary. It's tax-free, by the way. It's tax-free salary. There are a small number of Engineering and Physical Sciences Research Council, that's EPSRC, scholarships that can be turned into international, and every university has these, but there's quite a lot of competition for them, and so there's maybe a 10% chance that that you'll get a supervisor will get a scholarship, and there's only 1/3 of those can be converted into international scholarships. So something like a 3% chance. Okay, so it's quite a low chance. Grants from professors, e.g. European Research Council. I'm applying for one of these at the moment. If I get the money, which I find out in a few months, then I will seriously consider taking on another Indonesian PhD student. So please stay in contact next year. Industry companies that you work for might want to sponsor you for a PhD overseas. There are also various websites where scholarships are advertised. Here's one, scholarshipsads.com. And also there are university special programs. So Stirling University, which is not the highest ranked university in the UK, but you'd probably be okay if you studied there, has got an actual specific Indonesia postgraduate scholarship scheme. And this is quite rare, but they do exist. Okay. So finally, I thought for those people that already have a PhD, I would just briefly introduce Newton International Fellowships, because this is a good scheme for overseas researchers to come for 2 years to the university. So the idea is to support the development and training of postdoctoral researchers into the UK by providing an opportunity to work in UK research institutions for 2 years. And the idea is that we want to develop long-term sustainable growth and welfare of the country from which you come from. So this information is based on 2018, but it hasn't changed much. But please check out the guidelines for 2021 if you want to come. I note here when the call is available. Sorry, there we go. When the call is available, this is the only call presently on the website. And this is for transforming systems through partnership. I have no idea what that means. It's obviously an engineering proposal, but you click on the link on the website and it tells you. Unfortunately, it's not eligible for Indonesia. Each call is eligible for certain country lists, and it's complicated and I don't understand it. But this one's only Colombia, India, Jordan, South Africa, Africa in general, Thailand and Turkey. There are other schemes on there that are concentrated on Southeast Asia, so Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, etc. But at the moment there aren't any. Okay. For this, you must already hold a PhD or expect to have the PhD by the time the funding starts, and have no more than 7 years of active full-time research experience at the time of application. If you want to have a career break, for example, for having a baby, or if you are ill or you had other care responsibilities, or you want to have, then you can have a discount for that. So if you spend a year on maternity leave having a baby, then you have 8 years rather than 7 years. But this 7 years includes teaching experience or time spent in industry. So it's 10 years, 7 years post PhD. And I'm assuming that we've got some PhD candidates, post-PhD researchers in the room. That's why I'm going through this. Okay, you must not hold UK citizenship and should be working outside of the UK at point of application. So the call opens, this is for 2020. I imagine it will be the same in 2021. Okay, so early 2021, the call opened. Deadline in March 21. Results announced in September, October 21. And then you start the project between the end of 21 and March 22. So all of this will be added a year. This is 1 year old. You have to start by contacting a relevant PI. So that will be me or another professor or other academic at a university in the UK. If anybody here is interested in doing a 2-year fellowship in my university with me or any of my colleagues, please get in contact with me. Shinta will have my contact details and she will send you the information as needed. Okay. Finally, the value, it's £24,000 a year in stipend, which I believe is tax exempt. Okay, so that's £2,000 per month, or 450 million IDR per year, and that's tax-free. You have 150 million IDR per year for research costs, which is equipment, consumables, and travel. It's not that much, but it's enough to be able to do some research. You can go to conferences, you can pay for consumables, do lab work. And you get a one-off payment of 56 million IDR to pay for your research. So your relocation expenses. So that will be the flight from Indonesia to the UK and any belongings that you want to bring with you. And visas, I believe. Visas are expensive, and this should cover the visa. Okay, there are potentially follow-on funding. I think it's of the order of 150 million IDR per year for 2 years or 3 years after the fellowship. So if you go back to a job in Indonesia, you'll have a budget from the UK government of 150 million IDR per year to continue your research in Indonesia. But you have to apply, and there's no guarantee, so it's only potential. Okay. So I'd like to thank you for my talk. That's the end of my talk now. And I don't know if I've been over time, but I hope it's been useful. Nobody has told me that I'm over time, so hopefully it's okay. And I don't know how we're going to handle questions. Perhaps at the end, there will be questions and answer session of which I can answer questions afterwards. And perhaps we should move on to the next speaker. So thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Alan.
Okay. Thank you so much, Professor Alan Drew, for such an amazing presentations. So now we are going to the next speaker, which is Mrs. Eva. Okay, so Ms. Eva Evangeline Hutaman TS. She is a PhD Center of Condensed Matter Physics, School of Physics and Astronomy from Queen Mary University, London. She graduated from Bachelor Degree Department of Physics, Faculty of Mathematics and Natural Science from University of 11 Maret, and then Center for Sciences and Technology for Advanced Material, National Nuclear Agency of Indonesia, Assistant Researcher, Power X-ray Diffraction Operator, Nuclear Knowledge Management Team, and Editorial Team, Journal Science Material Design. So Mrs. Eva, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Sinta. I will share my screen. Can you see it?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. Thank you everyone for coming to this talk, Lithium Millennial Talk from the NBRI.
Eva, can you change the speaker? The speaker. Yes. Yes.
No.
Not yet.
Yeah. Yeah, continue. So now I'm studying at the University of London. And
I'm sorry, Mrs. Eva. Could you please, your voice is unclear. Could you please repeat your voice? Maybe you should take off the earphone.
Sometimes the problem on the internet happen also in UK, not only Indonesia. We just have this turn off of
I agree
the,
completely, Evie.
Yes.
I've had to just spend lots of money on my home internet connection to upgrade it because I was fed up with a poor internet connection.
Okay. I thought only in Indonesia that happened, Alan. But you know,
No.
during your presentation, it was also there is turn off of the electricity in our home.
Oh no.
Yeah, yes, but only thank God only a few minutes. Yes.
I'm so sorry.
Okay, Eva.
Ms. Eva, could you please say something to check your voice? Well, your voice is still unclear.
Now, trying to increase the volume.
Mana suaranya? Ada suaranya?
Ms. Eva, if you don't mind, during you fix the problem, we will move to another speaker and then we will go back to you. Is it okay for you?
Yes, okay.
Okay, so we are sorry for the problem. So now we are going to the next speaker as we will come back to Mrs. Eva later on. So our next speaker is Mr. Andika Pandunugroho. He is Bachelor degree on Institute Technology Bandung, ITB, majoring Material Engineer, and he was doing dot vertical array silicon nanowire anode for lithium-ion battery, effect of rivet node insert diameter towards the full outload of 3D woven sandwich composite, the best student of Material Engineering Study Program in 2019, third winner of Metascope 2018, passed technical inspection in Shell's ECO Marathon Asia 2018, and awardee of Beasiswa Unggulan. To Mr. Andika, the time is yours.
Okay, is the slide is on? Yes. Okay. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Andika, and I would like to present to you about my thesis, a bit about my thesis about silicon nanowire as anode for lithium-ion battery. First of all, I would like to thank Professor Effie and Professor Alan for letting me have this talk about my thesis. It's an honor for me. Okay, first and foremost, lithium-ion battery is needed and it must be improved. As we all know that most people have these technologies like handphones, smartphones, laptops, and tablets, and these new trending technologies such as the electric vehicle. All these technologies are operated using a lithium-ion battery, and yeah, it stores the electricity, and electricity will powers these technologies. As you can see in these diagrams, annually the needs or demands of these technologies are increasing higher and higher. So, but if you notice it properly, these technologies are limited to its battery capacity. For example, like if you use electric car, maybe it could only achieve up to 200 kilometers per charge. So in order the vehicle to utilize its most potential, it needs improvement in its battery. So if we compare types of power storage, lithium ion is already one of the top battery if we compare it to lead acid, nickel cadmium, or nickel metal hydride, because lithium ion possess a high specific energy density, which means that with the same amount of capacity, we could achieve lithium ion with a lighter weight and smaller size. Basically, battery is a type of voltaic cell that use cathode, anode, and electrolyte as one of its important aspect of the battery. But today, I would like to focus on the anode. And commercially, lithium-ion battery anode use graphite, which has the limit capacity of 372 milliampere hour per gram. That is a very small capacity, but it is most likely to be used nowadays. And this is where I will go for the beyond lithium. In this context, beyond lithium means beyond lithium ion commercially used. So yeah, I will talk later on about the substitute of graphite. But first, you have to understand the mechanism of the lithium ion itself. In graphite, it uses intercalation, where it is the lithium ion is inserted in the interstitial sites of the graphite. Basically, it's like a drawer where you put lithium ion inside the room of the drawer. It is a stable structure, but it uses 6 carbon atoms for one lithium ion. So it's stable structure, but it requires a lot of graphite to increase the lithium ion. So, but there's another material that could substitute the graphite, which is silicon. Why, you might ask? Because first, silicon anode acquires the highest energy capacity, up to 4,200 milliampere hour per gram, which is like 11 times graphite. Also, silicon is the second richest element in Earth's crust, so it will be cheap. It is environmentally friendly. It is not poisonous to the environment. Also, it has desirably low discharge voltage at 0.4 volt, which is a desire for an anode. However, silicon has poor electrical conductivity and high fold expansion during lithiation. It could expand up to 400% size from its initial size. This is how the mechanism of the lithium insertion. Lithium would form alloy with silicon. So it breaks the bond between host atoms, causing circular chains in the process. Basically, it will turn the silicon into a bigger form when it is containing the lithium. It's not like graphite. So the question is how to prevent this expansion. What could be done? So turning it into nanoscale is one of the solutions, but we have to be careful in choosing what form of nanoscale. If it's filament particles, after a few cycles, it will pulverize and will destroy itself because it is hard to expand without cracking. But in other case, if it's turned into nanowires, like in the picture B, it will have a facial strand relaxation, which means that when it grows, it can grow bigger in diameter, but the stress itself will relax. So no crack will occur, less cracks will occur in nanowire form. So until today, there are a lot of research regarding silicon nanowires. As you can see, there are a lot of types and a lot of methods are used in producing these nanowires. There are the random array, there's our verticals, also the one with branch. Yeah, so it's already popular research until today. Now I want to show you our research, collaborating research with Batan, Laboratory of Emerging Nanometrology from Braunschweig, Germany. It is an end-doped vertical silicon nanowire, where the manufacturing method uses reactive ion etching. And in here, we would like to make a different types of nanowire, which is doped with boron, and also make it a vertical structure, so it will be accommodate any expansion. And we assemble it into half-self coin and test it in a battery. The result is 0.35 milliampere hour per centimeter square, or equals to 1,700 milliampere hour per gram. Yeah, if we compare it to other research, it's still less, but yeah, it's still acceptable result. Most of the results could obtain up to 2,000 milliampere hour per gram. But if we compare it to graphite, note that graphite only reached 372 milliampere hour per gram. So silicon nanowire is proven that have better capacity than graphite. So, and another question is, can it be upscale, or is it only be able to be produced in lab, in laboratory? Basically, there are already some companies that produce nanowires in France and in the US for battery purposes. But this is something else that I want to show you, that silicon usually obtained from sand. It is processed and then melted and then this purified into silicon. But also you can get silicon from the biomass such as rice husk. The research is from 2013 and it's fascinating research. So other than making the silicon from sand, you can change it to rice husks, and it's possibly a low cost and green process. So all in all, my conclusion is that battery demands are rising, but the battery capacity is limited. So one of the solutions is to increase the battery capacity by replacing graphite anode to silicon nanowire anode. And at the end, maybe I want to give a questions for all of you to increase like curiosity, perhaps. So the anode is very high. The silicon nanowire anode can achieve a high capacity, but could any cathode possess similar capacity too? Could it balance? If it's not, maybe we, the new generation, would have more and more research to balance the capacity of the silicon nanowire anode. Or maybe if there are no other cathode that could balance the anode, the silicon nanowire anode, maybe there are a lot of other technologies beyond lithium that would be acceptable in the future. So that will be all for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Dika. Good.
Thank you, Mr. Andika. So now we're going back to Mrs. Eva. Mrs. Eva, are you here?
Yes, is it better?
Yes, it's better. Okay, now you can start the presentation, please.
Okay, yeah. So, sorry for the previous things. Wait, not this one. Sorry. So I need to restart my laptop. Maybe. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming to this talk. Very nice talk from Prof. Alan and also from Andika. I think it's combining from those two. I'm going to share to you about my experience and also my previous work. The first one, maybe some previous work at Batam, and then a current project that I do here at Queen Mary University of London, and then why I choose to study in the UK, and also the scholarship that I can get, that you can get, and also maybe some little bit of history of how I getting this scholarship. So this one is the team, the battery team at Batam. Previously, I worked with in situ battery measurement of lithium ferrophosphate cathode during charge mechanism by X-ray diffraction. So this one is the the cells for the XRD technique. And for the result, here is the result. We can see clearly that there is a phase change during charge where lithium ferrophosphate turn into ferrophosphate. And then now we enter the current project, what I do here. Now I'm a research student at School of Physics and Astronomy at Queen Mary University of London with Professor Alan Drew. I think it's like the second day after I arrived here, and yeah, we took the picture. And also we did collaboration with Imperial College London with Professor Magda Titirici. It's for the sustainable energy material. And this is the team at ICL. And the title of my project is Advanced Characterization for Next Generation Battery Materials. It's correlated with today's topic, is about the beyond lithium one. So the advanced characterization that I will use is the X-ray and neutron by small angle scattering and wide angle scattering. And after that, we also want to do the in situ in operando by Raman spectroscopy and develop anode material for sodium-ion battery with carbon-based material and alloying system that may be already being mentioned by Andika before. And the question is, why sodium-ion battery? I mean, we already use lithium-ion battery, but why we need to study sodium-ion battery? It's because the abundance of sodium is much more than the lithium one. And also for the current collector, we can just use the aluminum for the sodium-ion battery, but for the lithium-ion battery, we need to use the copper and aluminum, and it's much more expensive. And also for the chemistry and processing, we can have the same manufacturing equipment. So when the factory, maybe they want to make the sodium one, they just need to change the material. And also, of course, the difference of ionic radius of sodium ion and lithium ion. So resulting from all those things, it can have, sodium ion can have low cost, 30% less than lithium ion, and it has high energy density and safety. But it doesn't mean that it will replace completely the lithium ion, because the application, the most suitable application for sodium ion battery is for the large scale energy storage. Especially we can use it in our home, or maybe in the, so when it's not mobile. But for the electric vehicle, we can use the lithium ion battery. And the current research on sodium ion battery, of course, focusing on those three materials, the cathode, electrolyte, and anode. As I mentioned before, I'm focusing on the anode material, especially for the carbon-based material and the metal alloy. And this one is the experiments that we did, as you can see here, me, Professor Alan, and here's Anders Jensen, the postdoctoral with Professor Alan. We did experiment at ISIS, at Nimrod, ISIS neutron and muon source. We take the carbon samples there and we do the small angle neutron scattering. And this is some picture of us doing the experiment. And also this picture of experiment at Imperial College London. And this one is like the weekly meeting that happened before the lockdown at Queen Mary University of London with the PhD student. And then now we're answering the reason why I study in UK, or why maybe you can study in UK. The first one is the high quality education. It's already mentioned by Prof. Alan that it has world-class research, and also the qualification are recognized by everyone worldwide, and also we can develop the skills, knowledge, critical thinking, and also connection to drive forward with our career. And UK is a great place to live and study because it has a multicultural society. It's diverse in culture, language, and faith. So, and the important thing is the collaboration. Collaboration is widely open here. So yeah, expand our knowledge, meet new people, experience new culture, and enjoy new experience. And I read some very interesting things is about the diversity is help to answer a problem with various solution. What is mean by this one is if we are from the same mindset, if we have problem, then we have one. Maybe we have kind of one solution, but if we have a diversity, different mindset, then it will have a various solution. And I think it's already being mentioned before too by Prof. Alan about the scholarship. But maybe Prof. Alam doesn't know about the LPDP. It's from the Indonesia government, from the Ministry of Finance. It's offered for the master and doctoral. Okay, I will start with the bachelor degree. If you want to do bachelor in the UK, then maybe the only scholarship that you can get is the university scholarship. It's really limited, and you need to check every university website whether they're available for you or not. And for the self-funding, yes, if you can afford it, carry on. And yeah, that's for the bachelor. And for the master degree, it kind of various choice that you can get. LPDP, but I think for this year, LPDP only open for like top university. I think it's only for the University of Cambridge, University of Oxford University, UCL, University of College London, and also the Imperial College London. So it's really limited. It's different from previous year that we can have various university, but yeah, for now it's kind of limited. But we can also apply for the Chevening. It's from the UK government. You need to have 2 years worth experience to apply. And also there is a grade. It's from the UK government and British Council. It's really limited. For this year, it's only 12 postgraduate scholarship. And also, of course, from the university, you can check the website. Yeah, you need to like check the website whether there's a possibility for you to apply or not. And for the doctoral, LPDP also open for it. And the university scholarship that I get, you can check it in the findaphd.com. Yeah. This is like the example of, if you check findphd.com, you can see here, it's limited to the European and UK students only, but for this one, it's like students worldwide. So maybe we can like check the list. And I think it's already mentioned too, what's included in scholarship. Usually the university tuition fees and then the monthly stipend. But it depends on the scholarship. Maybe the travel costs will be covered, and also you can get the arrival allowance, or after you finish you can get another allowance and the visa application too. And also if you need to attend some event or conference, you can maybe have the travel grant. Yeah, it depends on the scholarship that you get. And the requirement, the first one, of course, the certificate of previous education documents, and also the transcript. And the IELTS is around 6 or 6.5. It's different from different university. You need to check what major that you want, what courses that you want to take, and what's the minimum IELTS. And for the IELTS, you can always self-study, I think. And you need the reference from the senior at work. I get this from Professor Evi Kartini, or maybe from the supervisor. I get this from Professor Budi Purnama at Universitas 11 Maret. And now most scholarship wants you to have the letter of acceptance unconditional, yeah, because of the situation right now, and also motivation letter usually. And I think the most important thing is the strong will. I mean, yeah, you need to fight for it. And yeah, always check at the scholarship website on what they need. And this is my history. I think it's almost finished. So at July, Prof. Alan came to Indonesia, and then coincidentally, he came to Batam and met Professor Evi Kartini, and they clicked. And wow, it's really good discussion. And then in September, I actually want to apply for LPDP for master degree at Queen Mary University of London. So I went to Prof. Evi and asked for some reference. And then, yeah, she said that maybe you can take at Queen Mary, and then okay. And then I contact Prof. Alan, but then he offered the BSc project. But I already submit my LPDP application too. But I still proceed with the PhD one. And this one is the PhD project that being advertised at findaphd.com by Professor Alan Drew, and also second supervised by Dr. Anna Sobrido. Yeah, this is so yeah, we actually can find it and can find it at the website. And after that, we did the interview, and then I got the decision at September, and I come here at January 2020. And yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Eva. Nice talk. Thank you for sharing for others.
Thank you, Mrs. Eva, for the very amazing sharing experience. So we are now moving into the next speaker. So our next speaker is Mr. Cipta Panghegar Supriyadi. He is graduate from Bachelor Degree from Sekolah Tinggi Teknologi Nuklir, Polytechnic Institute of Nuclear Technology, Nuclear Chemical Engineering. Graduate from Master Degree Metallurgical and Material Engineering from University of Indonesia. The 4th ASEAN Synchrotron Science Camp 2015, held by Synchrotron Light Research Institute, or SLRI Thailand, and National Seminar of Neutron, X-ray, and Nuclear Analysis Technique 2015, held by Nuclear Energy Regulatory Agency of Indonesia, or BPTN. To Mr. Cipta, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Sinta. I will share my screen. Okay, is it okay? Okay. Okay, thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good day, everyone. Thank you for this occasion. On this occasion, I would like to share a story about graphene, an ultra-thin carbon materials. Uh, Previously, I doing a research on a graphene, especially uh, to produce a graphene for conductive additive to cathode or anode materials. So, firstly, I would like to share a story about the rise of the graphene. The rise of the graphene begins at 2004 after the discovery of electric field effect in atomically thin carbon films by Professor James and Novoselov in the University of Manchester. So, their discovery leads to reveal of a material with superior structure, and they called it graphene. And afterwards, in 2010, they get a Nobel Prize in Physics for their discovery. So how did the graphene was discovered? How graphene discovered? So, is it need a sophisticated technology or not? So, Professor James and Novoselov discovered the graphene by using only two equipments. First, they use pencilate or graphite in pencil as the raw materials, and the scotch tape or a duct tape as a to peeling off the layer of graphite. So, their simple idea is to peel off over or over again until they get one layer of the graphite or one atomic layer of the graphite. So, it just maybe it's just a simple experiments or simple research, but they got the Nobel Prize and Nobel Prize. So, graphene is become a wonderful materials because, yeah, what is so wonderful about the graphene? There are four points about the wonderful of the graphene. First, it is 200 times stronger than steel, and it can carry 1 million times current density compared to that of the copper, and the electron may move faster through the graphene or move like it is massless and without resistance. And graphene also have a large surface area, which a gram of graphene can cover approximately 3 13 tennis court. Okay. And because it has a superior characteristic of the graphene, it is become famous in the all other research topics. After the Nobel Prize was awarded into the Professor Game and Novoselov in 2010, the number of publications related to the graphene is skyrocketing uh, to 2014. So, what is exactly graphene? Graphene is one atomically thin materials which consists of carbon, and the carbon is arranged into the hexagonal lattice. It can be rolled into the carbon nanotube and rolled also into the buckyball or buckyfluorens. Now, after that, the stacked form of the graphene is called the graphite, which is used daily in your pencils or others materials. So, to produce a graphene, uh, the main goals is to peel off each layer of the graphite to produce one single layer or a few layer of a graphene. So the graphene production according to that, the graphene production can be classified into two main approach. First is the top-down method, which the main goals is peeling off the stacked layer of the graphene using mechanically exfoliation or chemically exfoliation, which is further reduced to red, reduced to exterminate the oxygen function in the surface of the graphene. And the other approach is the bottom-up method, which use natural gases or other carbon precursors, which deposited onto the metal substrate. And the other is the epitaxially growth of carbon from the SiC silicon carbide wafer. However, all of the method cannot enable the mass production of the graphene. So the uh, graphene is still costly to be widely used in other applications. So in my previous research, I did the graphene synthesis using a vessel method by using cellulose as a carbon precursors. I used to biomass. Firstly, it is coconut coir dust, and secondly, it is waste coffee ground. So the concept is the cellulose contain the carbon precursor which will be arranged into the carbon hexagonal. And the way to arrange the carbon is firstly the carbon in cellulose is hydrothermalized to carbonize the materials since uh, it's prepare a basic building blocks for the graphene. And the pyrolysis method further arrange completely to accomplish the hexagonal lattice or honeycomb lattice to improve its conductivity. Okay, so in the previous speaker said that the cathode also the anode have exceptional exceptional capacity. So the cathode should comparable with the anode. So this one, before that, I would like to briefly explain the part of the battery. Firstly, it contains of the electrode which contain of cathode and anode and separated by the porous separator, and between them there is an electrolyte to convey the lithium ion between the electrodes. So as Andika said that silicon nanowire can be have a high capacity, but the available cathode cannot compare the capacity, so the efficiency of the battery is reducing. So in the commercially available battery, the cathode is classified into the type of its cathode. The battery is classified into its cathode. My previous research is focusing on the improvement of the cathode, since the cathode will improve the overall battery capacity or battery performance. So there are three efforts that can be made to improve the battery performance. Firstly, adding more conductive metal into the cathode structures. Secondly, and adding more conductive materials and shorten the travel path of the lithium ion and electron. I choose to use the graphene since the graphene as a conductive additive, since it can adding more conductive material to the to the battery, and it can shorten the travel path by providing a faster pathway for the electrons. In my previous research, using a coconut coir dust as a carbon precursor, I obtained the graphene, which is characterized by the sheet-like morphology, which is crumpled like this because it has a high surface area. It not utterly stable in atmosphere since it has a crumpled sheet-like morphology. So, what is conductive material? This one is conductive material may provide the may provide the electron pathway which can ease the mobility of the electron, and besides that the graphene have a high surface area and it can absorb more electrolyte and provide a more active site area for the electrode to react with the electrolyte, and uh, because of that, the overall performance or the overall capacity of the battery will improve. Okay. And according to the Galler et al., the NMC added with the graphene has a higher capacity compared to that of NMC without the graphene, and it also can retain the capacity after long cycle of number. Okay, thank you for your attention, and thank you for Prof. Effie and Prof. Alan for the time. Thank you.
Thank you, Cipta. I stop.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chipta, for the great presentations. So now, without waiting for long, we're going to the last but not least speaker. I will introduce you to them. So he is Mr. Didapaksi Reganata. He is National Battery Research Institute Millennial Teams, graduate from Parahyangan University of Bandung, and developed mid-quench lithium phosphate plus solid electrolyte as finishing thesis. So Mr. Paksi, the time is yours.
All right, wait a minute. Which one is it? So the screen good? Is my voice good?
Yes, clear.
All right. So now, for anything, I think I do have to first give my gratitude to the esteemed board of professors who have provided me this platform, the National Battery Research Institute as well, and all the other people, everyone else in the audience who managed to spare their time in their respective schedules right now to listen to what I'm going to talk about. So, all right. Oh, I think I forgot to do a slideshow. Right. So I came to this talk. I mean, if we look simply at the title, what's next after lithium? I would be coming with the assumption that at least everybody here knows there's stuff about batteries, or I think particularly electrolytes if you managed to stay here up to this point. But well, for the sake of fairness, I do think I should come back for a short while to what exactly constitutes something as an electrolyte as a preface to what we are going to talk about. So now, this what we see here on the monitor is an archaic battery system called a galvanic cell, which works by basic electrochemical principles. Now we see here that the electrolyte is the zinc sulfate and copper sulfate fluid, and they are the fadey white. I think it's a fadey gray or fadey white fluid that contains the zinc and copper rods, which we call the electrodes, or the cathode and the anode. Now, the cathode and anode are supposed to at all times, always be separated from one another. As seen here, they are separated by a salt bridge, which provides transport between the two systems in the right and left hand side, a transport of strictly ions. Now, if by any chance the cathode and anode come into direct contact with each other, both within an electrolytic solution or directly, I mean, if you just directly stick it with each other, which is not pretty much not suggested, I think we're going to encounter a short circuit phenomenon. I think everybody is pretty familiar with these sparky incidents, which we always wish not to encounter. So now, imagine the battery we have right now using conventional lithium hexafluorophosphate liquid electrolytes. Now, as far as I myself have heard, I know these electrolytes are one of the most popular options used in modern day lithium batteries. So here, next up, I have these cylindrical cells as shown on the screen. Now, due to the demand for a dimension compact enough for the batteries to be fitted in small devices, I think such as our cell phones, our laptops, and now the components of the battery are rolled into thin sheets. Now, as we see the schematic in the middle, compared to the galvanic cells we mentioned beforehand, the components in these batteries are kept in close proximity. Hence, the need for thin plastic sheets called the separator. These separators are used to keep the cathode and anode away from each other to prevent those short circuits. Now, I did mention that they are plastic. We should underline that, which means they are prone to shrinkage when temperatures rise within the battery. Now, temperatures always rise when there is a process of energy transfer, like if you have ever experienced hot cables of the sort, when you use something electrical. Now, the moment these separators shrink, a possibility of direct contact between the electrodes via the electrolyte increases. Now we know all those stories about regarding batteries on fire and the sort. So here I'm going to present you in news within the internet broadcasting media, Twitter, that this was passed by an acquaintance of mine actually regarding an incident involving a battery electric vehicle. I think we could see on the screen, but I would prefer not to mention the brand name verbally further. I don't have anything against the company by any means, but but this issue applies to every candidate regarding every candidate of those who want to provide this kind of technology to the world. And so this acquaintance of mine also he also stated his rumination whether this accident causes distrust against battery electric vehicles, which, as we know, enters the car market as quite the competitor against gasoline cars. I don't think I also have to explain how, looking through environmental perspectives, battery electric vehicles are definitely a better choice compared to the gasoline ones. I think not even to mention that they actually should replace gasoline vehicles or so on and so forth. But now in the following tweets provided by the same account in Twitter, I'd like to highlight a few key statements regarding the aftermath of the incident. Now, first, it is stated that the emergency crews were having trouble putting it out, and his vehicle caught fire again a week later while in the impound facility. Now, we do have to underline the specific phenomenon of the car catching fire again, which we can attribute to a side of the car using a battery system. It also employs a flammable lithium hexafluorophosphate liquid as its electrolyte. Now, this should be the main problem, because I did also wonder whether the dimension of the fire was the one that's causing the distrust. But I did encounter an experiment regarding the issue of dimension of fire before, done by the Japan Automobile Research Institute, published for the SAE journals in 2014. Now, the experiment, which compares the fire between gasoline and lithium-ion battery vehicles, it gave a no significant difference type of conclusion regarding the fire of both types of vehicles. So the size of combustion is not exactly the problem, but the duration is. So I would like to also give you another news regarding the difficulty in disposing carcasses of these types of vehicles. Now, this one comes from Austria, published by a website named Climate Change Dispatch, stating that firefighters needed a special container to transport the remains of the vehicle. Now, solid electrolytes, which I also had the honor to be involved in the developing alongside Professor Evie in the past, is that its name suggests, substitutes the flammable liquid electrolytes within a battery. Now, the materials involved in the production of these solid electrolytes are ceramics. These materials, by all means, are not flammable. So aside of it not combusting during a short circuit incident, it will also withstand temperature increases within regular usage. So now we don't even need cooling systems for our battery anymore. Now, imagine not having to worry about all these safety issues. It is like if we take those incidents we mentioned before regarding the battery electric vehicle crashes. Imagine if now, I mean, you would maybe still have some sparks, which is if your vehicle is damaged enough, cathodes and anodes get into contact all over the place, and you got short circuits everywhere. But without the previous lithium hexafluorophosphate, now you don't have a full-on combustion caused by the liquid electrolytes. Now, but I think as all great discoveries, we can say that we always come to we have a catch, the popular phrase. Now we come to why it is not widely used if it is ever so convenient. As the saying that goes, there is no free lunch, which I think applies to a wide range of issues in our lives. There is a big catch regarding this battery system, where we might have to come to some numbers, but albeit they should actually be easily comprehended. Now, I do think I have to address everyone first regarding what conductivity is, as shown on the slide is. Well, conductivity, in short, is one of the key metrics which indicates the quality of an electrolyte. Its number explains how easily ions are transported within a medium. Now, batteries involve the transportation of ions from one electrode to the other and vice versa, which means the logic behind the explanation of what conductivity is should apply. So now on this diagram that I made, you will notice the numbers on the right-hand side of the three dotted lines. Those numbers indicate conductivity within orders of magnitude, along with its unit, since it is a physical value, Siemens per centimeters. So a higher conductivity indicates a better battery than those that score lower. Now, as we see here, I think the least a liquid electrolyte's conductivity should be so far that I know it is accepted as a standard, stands around 10 to the negative third Siemens per centimeter. So far, the only experiment regarding solid electrolytes which could measure up to it is the research done by Hayashi and his company in the Hayashi, I think in the Tokyo Institute of Technology. It was done just last year, and in which they used sulfur in the manufacture of their solid-state battery. Now, sulfur, however, requires, I think it requires meticulous handling, which I mean the popular lithium hexafluorophosphate liquid electrolyte also requires similar care, but there's another main difference, which is when you try, when you decide to try to make these things. Now, insofar I see how easy you could manufacture batteries using liquid electrolytes is that you just need to dip your components in it, and then give it an outer casing, and there you have your battery. But with solid electrolytes, there are other measures you have to take before assembling it within one whole battery unit. Some of them require melt quenching, which is some kind of preheating before assembly into the rest of the battery. And there are a few dozen other methods to prepare the electrolytes before insertion within the battery. Now regarding sulfur, I believe sulfur. I worked with lithium phosphate before. It was at least pretty easy to handle, maybe easier to handle. I believe sulfur requires a very protected environment from open air. And to think that so far it has been the best component, which is not, I think we can easily come to the conclusion that this battery system of solid components is not exactly commercially feasible yet. So now some of you, I believe, should have this key question popping out about whether the solidity of a battery affects its conductivity. I mean, as far as we see, liquid electrolytes score better than most of them. Now, to explain this, I thought it would be best to give one analogy. This analogy is actually given by my professor, to be exact, Professor Effie. But I think it is a very proper way to simply describe the process of a movement of an ion with an electrolyte. Now, let's take the analogy of somebody swimming from point A to point B in a swimming pool. His name is Mr. Ion. To make it easier now. Now imagine that this unlucky swimmer in our experiment has to swim in a slew of different stuff within the pool. The first, I would want a guy to swim through water. I believe for those who cannot swim, they would definitely say it would be difficult. But compared to the other stuff, I would want our swimmer to swim. I think he could at least move. He would at least move without much impediment, much obstruction. Now, the second time, I would give him quicksand. Now, compared to the first time, I believe he would still have an easier way across the pool when I fill it with water instead. Now, for the third time, I would decide to be a little cruel and pour pebbles instead of anything still seemingly liquid. Now, I probably just wish the guy luck as he tries to swim his way through the pebbles, unless he tries to walk on top of them, which by definition is not swimming anymore. So now, pivoting back to conductivity, I think you should have quite the picture of how ions navigate through liquid electrolytes much easier compared to solid electrolytes. The same as swimming through pebbles. Unless our swimmer can shrink himself or adapt his dimension to pass through the gaps between the pebbles, then he would finally have a decent chance to pass through the pebbles. The same as the ions within a battery system. Within a solid battery system, ions need to move through pores or gaps within a solid electrolyte. Now, however, despite the headwinds regarding the development of the system, and so far though, I do believe it is a development which offers a very real advantage, some real perk, a real effect regarding the acceptance of battery technologies in our everyday lives. And with that remark, I hope I have managed to spur everybody's concern regarding the matter so that we can work together to better our lives. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paxi. Nice talk. I like your figure about that, Mr. Ion. It's good.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much for Mr. Paxi for such an amazing presentation. So now we are moving into the next session, which is a panel session that will be conducted by Dr. Alexei Glushenkov, and it will be led by Professor Alan Wood. So before that, Professor Alan Wood, we hope you want to read Dr. Alexei short CV to Professor Alan Drew. The time is yours. Prof. Alan, are you there?
Okay, I was muted, I'm sorry. It's my great pleasure to introduce Dr. Alexei Glushenkov. He received his PhD in physics from the Australian National University, a master in physics and chemical physics from Novosibirsk State University in the Russian Federation. I'm very sorry for the pronunciation. Bachelor in physics from the same university in the Russian Federation. Okay, so he's a fellow and a research leader in battery materials and devices, battery storage and grid. Integration program research at the School of Chemistry in the Australian National University. He's a research fellow at the Department of Chemical Engineering at the University of Melbourne, a senior research fellow at the Institute of Frontier Materials in Deakin University, a visiting research professor at the Department of Materials Engineering at Drexel University in the United States, technology fellow, Melbourne Centre for Nanofabrication, a research fellow at the Institute of Frontier Materials in Deakin University, a postdoctoral fellow in the Research School of Physics at the Australian National University, and then finally a junior research scientist at the Borisov Institute of Catalysis in Novosibirsk, Russian Federation. Okay, so I would like it now if people could message questions from Alexei using the chat function, and I should, in principle, be able to receive them, and if not, Shinta will send them to me. So do we have any questions?
Thank you very much, Alan, for the introduction, first of all. And I'm not exactly sure how we're supposed to run this discussion, so I'm sort of open perhaps to remarks from Professor Avi.
Please go ahead, make some remarks. Yes, that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, greetings from Australia, and I appreciate very much being invited here to participate in the discussion. And it was really fantastic to see how battery research in the National Institute develops over the span of as little as 1 year. So clearly there is a long way already behind, and I like a range of initiatives that Institute pursues. For example, it's a fantastic initiative to sort of create a map of what happens in Indonesia in battery space in various places in research and also in perhaps manufacturing and use of batteries. And I'm sure that the map sort of international connections will follow as well. It's also very interesting to see this clearly international angle to the Institute. And I understand today talking about opportunities in the United Kingdom, and I just would like to make a few remarks here. Great Britain in general is a fantastic place research-wise. It's a very technologically developed nation with fantastic research opportunities and great universities. And London in particular is a very international city, one of perhaps great international cities. So I would sort of really strongly recommend, I guess, young people from Indonesia to go and study in the UK. Really fantastic opportunity, good education, and also it's very close to the rest of Europe. So really good sort of collaboration place with researchers from all over Europe as well. And just from my own perspective, it's always a fantastic opportunity to just have this chance to travel to different countries around the world and see how people do about research and studying things, because every country and every continent have their own culture, and it's always different. So for me, for example, I'm from Russia originally, and I worked in Australia for a long time, and I also worked in the United States for a while. And I can tell that really people in different countries, they do have very different cultures, and you can learn a lot if you sort of go to overseas places. And of course, UK again is a great place here. So these are my remarks on sort of international angles of National Battery Research Institute. And just I have also a couple of comments on some of the talks. I'm not sure if it's the right time to do it, or perhaps we can do it separately.
Yes. Thank you for the comment.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Just on the topic of silicon in the first talk, I just want to make a couple of comments. First of all, when you balance two electrodes, if you have one electrode with much higher capacity, you can always play with the thickness of electrodes. So obviously you need to make the electrodes with high capacity component like silicon much thinner. And in this way, you can sort of counteract that excess capacity. Also, silicon has an issue of excessive reactivity with electrolyte. So there are some parasitic reactions with electrolyte. And for this reason, it's probably not a good idea to use silicon as a pure system. Nowadays, people try to mix it with graphite. And capacity they target probably not full theoretical capacity, but something along the lines of maybe 600, 700 million per hours per gram. So it's a fraction of its hypothetical capacity. But at the same time, by doing this, you can achieve material which will cycle over a long period much more steadily than pure silicon. So that's my comment on the silicon part.
Okay, thank you very much. So do we have any questions?
Probably Andika will mention, Alan. So Andika, do you have something?
Sorry?
About the comment?
Maybe I just want to thank you for Alexei as for the remark. Thank you so much. It gave more insight for me. But no questions for this session.
You're welcome.
So in the absence of any questions, could I pass over to Professor Evie for a closing speech? Is that okay?
There's a question about recycling here.
Aha, it's just appeared on my screen.
And another one on silicon.
Okay, over to you. Would you like to answer those, Alexei?
Yeah, I'll answer. Sure. So first question about recycling. So Yuyun Ismawati asks if that battery should be designed with recycling or end-of-life management. I'm happy to pass on some publications maybe later, so I just perhaps make a comment generally here. So I think, yes, this is a very, very important topic, and end-of-life management can be done in two ways. So one way is just sort of materials chemical recycling, and this is being pioneered in Asia and a little bit in Australia recently. So what you do in this space, you take the batteries which are in the end of life, you shred them into dust effectively, and then you have an opportunity to separate metallic bits like aluminium, copper, and batteries, recycle that as metal scrap. And there are a range of proposed chemical processes where you can extract useful materials from anode, cathode, and electrolytes. So you sort of can separate them in the useful component. This is unfortunately still in development, and only a small part of lithium-ion batteries can be recycled now, which is a big contrast with, for example, lead-acid batteries, which are recyclable almost 100% at the current stage. There is also another opportunity to reuse batteries. So batteries not necessarily should be thrown away or recycled chemically when they're in the end of life. And for example, if you have application in electric vehicles, then typically you sort of run batteries until you have about 80% of their useful capacity left, and then you get rid of them in the car. However, you can repurpose them for other applications, for example, grid or home energy storage. So in this case, you take battery packs from cars and you analyze those individual cells, and you can repackage them into modules which can be still used for a long time in grid applications. Right, and question about silicon. Okay, silicon and ACI. So first, a comment that ACI, well, the question is that when silicon is used, it interacts with electrolyte, it will swell, and also it will form ACI, which is, according to the person who is asking, a sort of unfavorable phenomena. My first comment here is that when you form ACI in batteries, it's sort of unavoidable phenomena in anodes. It always happens. So all the batteries that, for example, use graphite, which is commercially used, graphite also always develops ACI in the first cycle. So ACI is okay when it's stable and when it sort of doesn't grow excessively and can also conduct ions through it. But then with silicon, it sometimes might become an issue because you have this volume change, and this might cause the ACI layer to break or to develops in every continuous cycle. And this is actually the reason why pure silicon is not used that much, because this phenomenon of the CI, parasitic reaction with electrolyte, indeed a problem. So people try to make amount of silicon small in electrodes, mix it with carbons in order to sort of normalize the CI process and decrease the number of amount of parasitic reactions.
Okay, so it looks like we don't have any more questions. We have a link from
Alan?
so that you can fill out the yes.
Yeah. First, thank you, Alexi, for the comment and the answer. Yes, you help us. Okay, there is a question from the audience.
Okay, I don't see this.
Rizka.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I don't see the question. Over to Rizka.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Alan, for the time that has been given to me. So my question is about graphene. I asked to Kak Cipta. So you have mentioned that graphene is able to improve the lithium-ion battery capacity. So actually, how much graphene that we need to add as the intercalated compound in the battery cathode to improve its capacity? And then I wonder how the detail of the battery production at the current situation. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you for the question. Oh, maybe I should answer now, or okay.
Sure.
Maybe firstly, about the amount of graphene added into the battery, it is actually depends on the graphene. Is it RGO or the pure graphene? But in general, the graphene added to the battery that may improve the battery performance is perhaps about maximum 5%, maybe 1 to 5%. After the 5% addition, the graphene will impact the lithium ion and block the lithium ion to react with the cathode materials. So that like that. Okay.
Okay. Do you have any follow-up questions, or is that really it now?
Okay, thank you, Kak Cipta. Maybe in the second question you haven't answered about the current situation of the battery, lithium-ion battery production, especially in Indonesia. Yeah.
Okay, about
maybe you can share.
Maybe I would like to try to answer the question. I try to answer the question about the current situation of the battery production. About that, current situation of battery production. As far as I know, there are no manufacturer in the. There are still a few of manufacturer of lithium-ion battery in Indonesia, but Indonesia has a potential to be a battery manufacturer in the future because Indonesia has a potential in nickel mine as a main composition of the cathode or the future cathode or NMC or NCA. They use about approximately 80%, up to 80% of nickel in their cathode. So for the current situation, Indonesia have many cell manufacturers or lithium-ion battery manufacturers, but for the future, Indonesia have a potential to be a cell manufacturers because Indonesia have potential in nickel mine. Maybe Prof. Evi may correct my answer or add some remarks about that.
Okay, maybe I should help. Okay, the current situation is in Indonesia. We don't have the battery manufacture. This is really concern for us, for all of Indonesians, since we are the fourth population in the world, and we are the largest user of the battery in Asia. So so this is pity if we only import the battery from abroad. Then what happened if someday it will be banned. So I think this is the right time for Indonesia to gather all the resources. We have a good, brilliant young scientists, young researcher, young student, the expert, and we have to gather and to think about the future of Indonesia. This is the first, yes. The second, actually, currently there are so many interesting from the other country want to invest in Indonesia, and then the own entrepreneur state company BUMN through they make the holding because they want to start from really from upstream to the downstream. Yes, from mining until manufacturing, assembly, until production. So I think this is a good starting. Yeah, they're still discussing about this. Of course, there are some. I heard also about Tesla will also investing in Indonesia. But of course, why? The question is because Indonesia produced the nickel is one of the largest in the world. Yes. And then the government now forbid to export the nickel ore, but we have to further processing that mining to become more valuable. Yeah, so we have the added value. So this is, I think, a good chance for all of us here. I'm sure you are interested with the battery, and then. Therefore, also why the National Battery Research Institute come because this is the situation. So we hope we can work together as the platform. Yes, not only Indonesia. NBRI is not belong to Indonesia. NBRI is belong to the international. Yeah, so everybody from all over the world, from Indonesia, from all over other country, please join, and we can discuss what is what we need, what the innovation, the new, and etc. in NBRI. I think is it right, Alan? That we're concerned about NBRI? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and then we are happy to have many young members. Yes. Yeah. Of course, the panel too. I think that is my my comment about the future.
So we have one more question that's just appeared on the screen. It's to Professor Evi. It's asking how the current development of research batteries in Indonesia. So what is it like, I suppose? Okay.
Well, thank you for the question. Actually, this is intriguing me. The battery research in Indonesia, they grow a lot. Yes, this is, I could say that in 2007, when I worked on the solid electrolyte with maybe one of the scientists from LIPI, no, I think we don't have any other institution or any other company or working with us, okay? The lithium battery not much popular at that time. But this time, the research in battery really not only popular. Yes, this become important, become a government issue. Yes, this is what we have to take a look. Yes, so many investors. There are many people that want to invest. Not only, you know why? The most important because if the government regulation in Indonesia in number 55 2019 that in 2030 should be like 45% or I don't know 60% should be using electric vehicle. So that is, it means the regulation, the presidential regulation make that force us to use the electric vehicle. And then the second point, it should be in 2035 that up to 80% should be local. We have local content 80%. So it means that if we use the electric vehicle and then half of it the battery, and the battery coming from abroad, that is the local content is high. So it means that the battery should be made in Indonesia, manufactured in Indonesia using local resources. Okay, so that to answer that, so we have to prepare starting now. Yes, so there are several. Well, actually, some of the ministers, for example, I'm currently the leader of one of the coordinator of the National Research Priority. Yes, that is under the Minister Research and Technology. So they give well, what they want is not to make a small research, but to solve the problem. So we will have only four big we call work breakdown structure. One from the extraction, and then how to manufacture, and then how to use, and then until the charging station. So this is a big team. So in my case, I have the duty for the extraction, especially to find out, to understand, and then to learn, and then to get to know about the extraction of the nickel to become the precursor of the cathode material. So I believe if we understand really from the result from, for example, nickel MHP or nickel matte to become the nickel cobalt sulfate, and then we can become a cathode, I think it will be a great for Indonesia. So that is one of our duty. Yeah? And the other, of course, several well work for example biomass, or I think Mr. Subhan also I think does also the supercapacitor, yes, and then also we look for the new material. I think they're still open to work, but in somehow there are some research that we have to be competitive, international, well acceptable. But of course, we have to think also about the research. Not only the research. National research priority is product. Yes, we have to give the product, which is the technology readiness level become not only 1, 2, 3, but become 5, 6, 7. And at the end, we want to have the industry of the battery. I think that is my answer. Yeah. So and others maybe we would like to invite all the researchers.
So I can't hear Professor Evie anymore, so I think her internet connection has just gone down.
Pertanyaannya apa?
Here we go.
I'm sorry, it's lost. Yes, my connection is lost. What is any other question, Alan?
There's two more questions actually, but they're both related to the same thing. So I'm going to combine them into one, and then I'm going to say that this should be the last question that's answered because we're already a little bit over time. Yeah. Okay. So it's regarding can the NBRI promote more ULab recycling facilities and support the informal recycling batteries SMEs to improve their practices? So the problem being that the informal SMEs recycle batteries, but do so by causing pollution.
Okay.
And the other question is regarding how far the research of recycling battery in Indonesia is. So the two things are related. So maybe you could talk about recycling in general and how we might be able to support better recycling practices in Indonesia.
Okay. Well, so there are some research. Actually, this is one also the topic of the national research priority for the recycling. Yes. So if we start from the upstream to downstream, and then after using, so we should start the recycling by you know, there are several ways on recycling. Yes. This is what is okay. Yeah. For example, so actually we have done in our laboratory, yes. But be careful. What we can do is just to before you do the peeling of the material, you have to discharge, make it empty. Yes, this is the battery, and then afterward we can take out either the component. Yeah, there's still you can use the component, or you can take out and then by leaching, and then to take the nickel part or the lithium part. Yeah, because this will become the very great. Well, this is not only the research. Yeah, I think this is the company. I think we will open for the collaboration. For recycling the battery. So can you imagine in Indonesia when there are a lot of electric vehicle where the battery will the used battery, where will they go? Yeah. So with the Ministry of Industry, we have also designed, maybe we will make a depot. Yeah. So you can bring the battery and then you can change to replace with the new one. So that is one example. But of course, in the depot, we have to do the recycling. That is the main idea, and then how to make it. But what I heard, there is also the project on this in one island, Indonesia, but they still asking is the permission from the government due to this the material we call probably there is a dangerous material, etc. Yeah, so we should have also the permission, yeah, from the government. Yeah, but I think that's possible and then very good. But one thing that I don't agree, because I heard that if Indonesia will import the used battery to Indonesia to be recycled here, but that's maybe I don't think we should make that in Indonesia, but we should recycle our own battery. So something like that, yeah. So that's possible for collaboration.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we maybe now have a closing speech by Professor Evi, and then I think Shinta would like to take a photograph of everybody. So if you could turn on your webcams if you have one, then she'll be able to take a photograph of the meeting to demonstrate who's here. I think she will be doing that perhaps while Professor Evi finishes or just after. Thank you very much.
Yes. So, Alan, well, can you make the closing? Should you make the closing? The summarize.
Okay. I will summarize. Okay, so firstly, I mean, it's an amazing number of people have turned up. It looks like there are 100 people come to this meeting today. So that's absolutely fabulous. I was not expecting quite so many. So this just goes to show how many people are interested in batteries research in Indonesia. I mean, from this perspective, it looks like the majority of the people here are young researchers. So again, we're hopefully having an impact on the younger generation of Indonesian researchers in the batteries area. And as Professor Evi suggested at the beginning of this meeting, that we have wider visions to work in climate change and energy production, sustainable energy in Indonesia, because batteries are a part of the solution. You know, they're good for storing energy that's produced by sustainable sources, but there's an awful lot more to sustainable energy than just batteries. And so I personally hope to see the National Batteries Research Institute evolve into a much larger organization with a bigger impact on the general sustainable energy area of Indonesia. And you know, the two things that for me that I think are most important, that firstly, manufacturing happens in Indonesia, whether that's batteries or solar cells or wind power plants. The minerals are not exported to other countries where the high value, high tech manufacturing happens to then be sold back to Indonesia. I think that's wrong. If you have the mineral resources in Indonesia, then I think you should use them to make the high value products in the first place. This will help Indonesia develop its economy. And the second thing, and this is what happens in Africa and China actually, is that waste from my country and others like it, Europe, America, Australia perhaps, tends to be shipped to developing nations, particularly in Africa, for recycling. And what happens in Africa with recycling is the high value materials, the gold, the platinum, this gets stripped out of the electronics, this gets stripped out of the recycled material. And then everything else, stuff that's hard to recycle, hard to remove the original components, the original elements, the stuff that you don't make very much money from, this all just gets put in a dump in the environment, polluting the local environment. And that I think that developing a recycling industry in Indonesia should primarily be for Indonesian waste. Just like in my country, we should be developing a recycling industry for our waste and not shipping it to developing nations where it pollutes there. And I think this requires a change in government, in a policy where I am from, and also from developing nations like Indonesia. And I think it's a very complicated problem where we need to change the economics of recycling, because that's the fundamental driver behind it. It's cheaper to send our waste to you to be recycled. And of course, then you also make some profit from it. And I think that that's not the right way of doing things. We shouldn't be exporting waste. And so I think on those two, that's my fundamental driver. That's why I'm involved in this. And I have some fundamental beliefs about how things should be. And so I decided to work with Professor Evie and others to try and have some impact on that. So I think on that note, I'm going to conclude and thank everybody for coming today. And with any luck, Shinta has taken a photograph, and so we can all disperse. But I'm going to let Shinta let us know what the situation is there. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Alan. Thank you for all. Okay, before we close, and Shinta will close, we will make the photo together. Could you show your well? Yes. Okay. So you are welcome to become the member. Okay, just feel. Okay, yeah, and then we will discuss when we make another event. Okay, we'll invite for all young scientists, and if you are the member, you have the privilege to promote yourself in our website, and then yeah, when there is opportunity, of course, we will offer for you first. Yes, we'll have maybe the meeting and then discussing about it. Okay, picture one. Okay. One, two, three. Okay, second page.
Okay, second page.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, moment. Cheese.
Sorry. 1, 2, 3.
Cheese. Okay, next. One. Berikutnya belum.
One.
Belum pindah.
Next slide. Okay, next slide.
Next slide. Oh, wait. Okay.
One.
Okay.
Last one. Okay.
Okay, so thank you everybody for your patience. Thank you, Alexi. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, all of you from all over the world. Yes, I hope it will be well useful what the meeting, and wait for the next maybe special lecture from Alexi. Yes, and also will invite from other country. Yes, I'll give you to our beautiful moderator.
Thank you so much, Prof. Evie, for such an amazing inspirational motivations, and thank you so much for distinguished speakers. Thank you for Professor Alan Drew and also Dr. Alexi. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for all the participants that already come here. This is our last session for this time, but it will not be at least, because we will come up with another event, with very interesting event and much more for you guys. So thank you so much, and see you in the next time.
Please don't forget to apply for the member, okay? Yes?
Bu Evi, sorry tadi hilang sebentar.
Oh ya, boleh. Yeah, that is Budwi. Can you want to give some comment, Budwi?
No, thank you. That's okay.
Yeah,
You
please.
guys are all great presenters. Young scientists, but a great presenter.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
And all the participants, please do not forget to fill up the presentation link. We already sent it on the chat box. And if you miss it, we will send it while waiting for you. And you may leave the room. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Pak Suban, ada nggak Pak Suban sini?
Hah, ada ini.
Tadi ada, cuman nggak kelihatan gambarnya.
Bu Dwi?
Iya. Tadi saya tinggal sebentar, kucingnya teriak-teriak, ngasih makan kucing dulu.
Yeah, next time, yeah.
Yeah.
From Udayana, yeah?
Yeah, betul.
Yeah. Ask your student to be a member of our NBRI.
Yeah, and also join research, Bu. If you have some research or some in battery or energy, I think that's will be good.
Yeah, so we can do, and then, okay, so welcome, and then join us for better Indonesia, for better world.
Yeah, I thought there's one factory they mentioned in, is it in Maluku or somewhere? Is that right, Bu?
Yeah.
There's a factory, I think Korea and China, the investor, and they said they make a battery.
They are discussing about that.
I see. I thought that's already existing.
Yeah.
So
BUMN. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Okay. I thought it's existing already, so it's still in progress. All right. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you,
thank you, Mrs. Dwi, for coming. Okay.
You're welcome, Ibu. See you.
See you.
Thank you.
See you all next time. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. You should be also a speaker.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Absen.